Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Scarecrow, and welcome to Closet Movie Rambles, where I talk about old movies that I found in my closet while cleaning. This week's movie is Hell Ride. It's an action movie from 2008, and it's about 1 hour and 20 minutes long, starring Larry Bishop, Michael Madison, and Dennis Hopper. And the movie starts with a sunrise and a hallucination from the main character, Pistolero. He gets told by this young naked girl named Cherokee Kissam that she knows that he will keep his word and keep the treasure safe and hold it for her boy, basically. And then cutting to him lying on the ground with an arrow to the stomach. And there is this girl that tries to help him out, and he has this key in his hand with, on one side of the key there's like triple sixes, like 666, and then he turns the key, it says Bix, B-I-X, and the girl tries to help him pull out the arrow through the stomach. And he is the main boss of this motorcycle gang called the Victors, basically. So cutting back 32 years earlier, and there is this biker gang that arrives at this housing area, and then there's this kid there, and his mom, and the mom gets her throat cut, and she basically gets poured over with gasoline, and she gets lit on fire. And then cutting to 32 years later, the same thing happens again, but to another older man. He gets his throat cut and he gets light on fire. And this is St. Louis. He was one of the members of the Victors motorcycle club. And then cutting to the burial of St. Louis, and then Pistolero and his crew basically burying him, drinking beers and mourning him. And then they pay their respects, and each one of them leaves. And then one of the other character called the Gent, played by Mads Madison, he kind of talks to the chief Pistolero about they're out in the desert and there's this burial site, and the wind is just blowing him right in the face, and oh man, this is a special kind of wind, you know, it means something, it's very special. Then Pistolero kind of tells him to shut the fuck up, and then the Gent kind of just smiles because you know he's just ranting and kind of being stupid. And then they cut to this other guy called Comanche, and he's this young uprising kid. He's just standing there taking a piss, basically, a bit from this conversation. And then cutting to a flashback when Comanche actually joined the Victors. And there is this scene with I think it's a desk in Pistolero and the Gent just talking to him, kind of introducing him to the gang. And then cutting to Pistolero, the Gent, and Comanche raiding a caravan, and they just enters the thing and they go for their guns, but the Gent is kind of this gunslinger kind of character, so he just pulls up his gun and he shoots everyone like super fast, and Pistolero kind of looks at him angrily and just what the fuck, and the Gent says something like I'm sorry, I messed up. And the next time you do that, says Pistolero, you know, leave something from the rest of us. And he kind of takes his gun and kind of goes to shoot the corpses of the dead kind of drug dealers or whatever. And then they find a clue about the 666s. And I think that's the reference to the key, the lock and key to this buried treasure of Cherokee Kissam. And then they blow up the caravan, basically. And then cutting to Pistolero and the Gent arguing, and then cutting to Pistolero talking to the Gent and the Comanche, and then Comanche tells the Gent that his bike is called Trigger for some reason, because it's written on the gas tank, I think. And then cutting to the Victors going to this sleazy bar where they're supposed to drink and fuck, and that's what they do. And then later, during this orgy kind of festivity, the treasure, which is this old man that is in hand, or has the hand in the gang's finance, tells that he needs to talk to Pistolero later about the money situation, and Pistolero kind of just hushes him away, like, talk about this later. And then during the night, the old man gets his throat cut. And then cutting to 1976, Cherokee Kissam is cleaning her car. It's a Mustang, I think it's a white Mustang. And then her son Bix is there, and his bike is named Trigger. So there's the reference there. So Bix is actually Comanche. And then there's a meeting then, and there's like the 666s or the 666ers, and the victors have a talk about something. And then cutting to present day, when Pistolero is supposed to find this information, so he goes to this girl, which is his informant at the restaurant, and she's the one handling the information. So she makes him a deal that she wants him to fuck her, basically. And he doesn't like that. He just wants the information, but she just want to fuck. So he kind of pressure her into giving the information, and then they're supposed to fuck. And she delivers the news that for some strange reason everybody wants Pistolero dead now. And she also says that the 666s are back. And then cutting to Billy Wings, which is the leader of the 666s. And he is this, he's played by Vinnie Jones, a really good actor, by the way. And Billy Wings kills this guy with a crossbow. And then Pistolero, cutting to Pistolero, talking to two guys to get some more information about this situation that's going on. And then cutting to one of the guys being locked up in a shed on a pole, and Pistolero kills him off because he betrayed the crew, he snitched, basically. And he also told these two guys prior to this that they were supposed to go to this bar called the Danny's Inferno at 1500s. And then cutting to Danny's bar at 1500s, and the other guy, which also is a snitch, he's sitting there drinking, and he's very drunk. And Billy Wing's character arrives there because he wants some information. He wants to get in contact with Pistolero, but Pistolero ain't there, so he just kills the guy off, basically. And then cutting to the victors at the sleazy bar again, drinking a lot, and there's a lot of naked girls. And then two of the guys in the company of three, they start to talk about the 3 B's, basically, which is bikers, broads, and beer. And they kind of want, and one of the guys says, you know, they can be like 4 B's or something, like bunch of cash or whatever. It's kind of a stupid thing. He's in for a lot of for the money aspect, because the victor is not about making a lot of money. It's about the bikes, the beers, and the girls, basically. And then this other guy, this black guy, doesn't fully agree with that because he kind of likes this lifestyle anyway. And then they go off, they go wrestle some naked girls in a hot tub. And then the gent calls him into his office, and he basically kills off the 2 guys that were kind of wanting to make money and kind of stray from the code of the gang or the club. So the black guy is left. And the gents know that he's loyal, so he says to him to go like to Danny's Inferno at 6 o'clock. Just be there. And then cutting to Pistolero, remembering that he got this keychain or a pendant from Cherokee Kissam. And then cutting to the victors, going to this old man, to this kind of other bar or establishment. And they Comanche said that he has to take a piss, so is this place open? And the old man says, like, it's ladies' night, you ain't coming in, it's you know, you're not welcome. And then Comanche kind of shrugs his shoulder and kind of pees on the man's boots. He says, you know, stop that shit. And the old man pulls a 38 and put it to Comanche's head, and he says, like, the 3 B's are basically just bullshit. Bikers, broads, and bullshit. And then Comanche steals his gun, and he kind of tells him to take us to the 666s. And then the old man says, okay, no problemo, man, I'll take you. And then they take his kind of old bike with like this side thing, and he kind of drives away. And they kind of drive down to this pathway, and there's this dirt road. And he drives down the dirt road, and Comanche follows after him. But the other guys kind of hesitate, because they are kind of loyal to the Billy Wings at this point. And so they drive down there, and Billy kind of sees that, you know, this old man is crashed in a ditch with his bike, and he kind of goes to look after him if he's okay. And he goes up to the guy, and the other ones comes up basically from behind him, and they get shot down by the black guy from earlier. He has this submachine gun. He shoots him down, and then Comanche kind of realized that the victors are kind of infiltrated by the Sixes. And then the old man introduced himself as Zero, Eddie Zero, and he kind of faked his own death and everything. And then he hits Comanche in the face because he peed on his boots. And then Comanche just laughs because this is whole kind of a stupid thing. And then cutting to Pistolero, fucking this girl called Maria, and then leaving, and then just leaving the place. And then cutting to the 666s chasing the black guy from earlier, and basically shooting him down. The character of Billy Wings shooting down with an arrow. And then cutting to the gent leaving a girl, and then talking to and then going for his bike. And then Eddie Zero arrives and then says that they're supposed to meet up, maybe with like Pistolero, at this Danny's Inferno at 6 o'clock. And then cutting to Pistolero meeting the informant from earlier. And she basically, as before, she wants information for fucking, but Pistolero kind of hands her a big pile of papers, basically. And then he promised that he will come back for her later. And then he leaves, and he eats some magical mushrooms. And he basically trips out, and he sees, has this hallucination of Cherokee kiss him again. And then he goes back again to see the informant, to basically fuck her, but he is so high and fucked up. And he basically tells him that he wants to go down on her and all these kind of weird things. And she thinks it's kind of strange because he's never done that to a girl ever. And she gets freaked out and angry because she's also been tripping on these mushrooms. And she stabs him in the stomach with an arrow. This is the callback to the early scene at the beginning of the movie. And then he lies on the ground with an arrow in his stomach, and he tells her, like, bury me with St. John, and safe keep the treasure, and hand it to the boy and something. And she freaks out about this. And then cutting to the hooker from earlier that Pistolero met up, called Maria, basically. And then she goes to see the Deuce, which is this former president of the 666s. And then cutting to the gent riding down to Danny's Inferno. And he goes in to see the lady that owns it. And he's kind of confused because Pistolero isn't there yet. But he sits down and talks about where she's from and all that, and she gives him a beer while he's waiting. And then Comanche arrives, he was also supposed to meet Pistolero there, but this is kind of strange. They think they kind of, someone has betrayed one or the other because the gangs has basically been depleted and all these people have been killed. And then they start a fight, and then Pistolero arrives on the scene, and he goes for the girl, and then he talks, and then basically Comanche and Gente just fighting each other, and Pistolero tells them to like fucking calm down and we need to talk, basically. And then they talk about it, and Pistolero arrange a meeting, and then the Gent kind of wipes up his like blood and whatever, and he kind of talks to Pistolero about, and he start to rant. It's such a funny scene. Like, this is a psycho symphony written in 606 verses, and he kind of like flips and turns all these weird things, and the Pistolero's had enough, so he just says, "Shut the fuck up." And the Gent kind of laughs and smiles because he knows it's stupid that he's rambling. And then Pistolero arrange a meeting, and then cutting to Billy Wings at this sleazy bar, the leader of the 666s, and he has this hooker next to him, and she asks him about the wing tattoos on his arm and his body, and then he explains like, there's a different color of wings, and he basically, that's for every time he licked a girl's pussy, and it's like the yellow, purple, red wings, and this like all this stupid thing, and he freaks her out about this. And then cutting to Comanche and Pistolero meeting up with Maria, and she's basically tied up the Deuce to this chair, and this is the scene where Pistolero gets the information that he wants, and kind of like Comanche get his revenge, because they both get their revenge, because the Deuce kind of had this deal with cocaine and LSD, and he provided it back in the 70s to the bikers and all that, so he made a lot of profit on it and then retired. But he also was the one responsible for killing Cherokee Kissam, slitting the throat, and basically and killing St. Louis also. So what happened is that while he's tied up to this chair, he kind of tried to lies and struck a deal with these guys, like, okay, I can get the 666s off your back, and if you let me live, you can leave well and healthy, and everything will be fine. But Comanche is not having that shit, and he wants revenge for both Pistolero and Comanche want the revenge for basically from him killing Cherokee Kissam. So Comanche kind of strangles him with a rope, with this wire, and Pistolero shoots him in the head, basically. So they both get the revenge. So now there's like now there's only Billy Winks left in this kind of crazy story, because he was the one basically lighting everything on fire, so he's the last piece of this puzzle, basically. And then cutting to the Gent in a tree with an empty beer bottle blowing into it and saying that he's an owl. And then cutting to Billy Wings and the 666s leaving the sleazy bar, and outside is Eddie Zero, and he kind of points to Billy's bike and says, "Look in the basket." And Billy looks in the basket, and he finds the head of the Deuce, and Eddie says, "Follow me to Pistolero." And they follow him down this road, and he fakes his breakdown of his motorcycle yet again, and he just tells the victors to just go home. And then Billy shoots him in his back with his crossbow. And from behind, Comanche and Pistolero and the Gent arrives on their bikes on the highway. And at this point, the 666 had pulled their guns, whole gang, and then the Gent kind of pulls his gun and he shoots them all down because he's very quick again. And then he bows to Pistolero, and Pistolero moves in on Billy, lying on the ground, and he moves up on him. He's not dead yet, but he's kind of injured. And the Billy pulls a gun on Pistolero from his boot, but Comanche shoots him with his own crossbow, and he also shoots the gas tank of Billy Wing's motorcycle. And basically, you can't kill me, says Billy Wings. And then Pistolero says, you haven't seen nothing yet. And he pulls his gun and he shoots Billy Wings in the dick, basically. And then he takes up his knife and he cuts the throat of Billy Wings, and also lights him on fire from the gas dripping from his own bike. And then they basically leave. They go to St. Louis grave, and Pistolero gives. He tells basically there's like 3 keys or something. So basically, Pistolero tells the gent to give Comanche the keys, let him safeguard him for a bit. And the gent kind of gets angry about this, but he kind of reluctantly gives Comanche the keys. And then he gives him a shovel, and he goes to dig up the treasure basically left by Cherokee Kiss and his mother. And then the gent and Pistolero argues about like the whole thing, and he kind of says, Pistolero kind of says that he actually met Cherokee Kissam before all of this happened. He met her back in '69 when he was 14 and she was 16. And he says something, go figure, to the gent. And then cutting back to Comanche digging up the treasure, actually finding it, and he puts in the 2 keys and his own key that he apparently has, so there were 3 keys or something. And then the informant from earlier goes up to pick up Eddie Zero. He's not dead, he faked his own death again, and it's this kind of funny scene where he kind of asks her for a joint or something, some drugs, and they kind of right off, faking his death yet again. And then cutting back to the Pistolero and the gent still arguing about, and the gent kind of asks like, what was in that safe anyway? And it's none of our business. What's in that box? It's his stuff in that box. And then Comanche digs it up, and the gent pulls a gun to Pistolero's head. And Pistolero says like, what are you gonna kill me now after all we've done and like everything? Yeah, I'm gonna kill you. And the gent kind of cocks his gun and kind of points at Pistolero's head. And Pistolero says, it's kind of funny, like, are you gonna shoot you? Gonna shoot me dead? Are you gonna shoot me dead right between the eyes? And he points like, yeah. And the gent kind of laughs, and he kind of like, he laughs at the whole situation. I'm not thinking about it, and he puts down his gun. And I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it. And they kind of laughs at it. And then they talk a little bit more. So why didn't you do it? Why didn't you kill me? Because I love you, man. And this is like one of those honest kind of guy bonding moments. And it's kind of funny. And then Comanche kind of gets back to them with the thing and everything. And you don't really see what was in the chest, and it really doesn't matter at this point because it was meant to Bix or Comanche. And so he's always called him like Sonny, but then Pistolero says, I'm not gonna call you Sonny anymore because it's so long, I'm just gonna call you Son. So that hints to the basic fact that maybe he is the father of Comanche, but he is not. There's no really committing to it, but whatever. And then Pistolero kind of goes to there's this crossroad, and he kind of goes left, and they just leave. And then the gent kind of like, well, I'm off too, and he goes to the right, and Comanche kind of like, okay, there's only one way to go, so it goes straight up, straight forward. And then we cut back to Pistolero again. He's feeling his like chest, and he has this gold chain, and I think that's actually the real treasure that he actually got from Cherokee Kissum. So that's the end of the movie. So what do I think of it? This is a really good movie, and it has a lot of, like, it was actually written by Larry Bishop, the character of, written and directed by him, Larry Bishop. Why is that so hard to say? And it's one of those Quentin Tarantino movies. There's this specific kind of style to it. Really cool movie. And I like the reference to this, like, to like Easy Rider, and Dennis Hopper's in it. That's one of the characters from the Easy Rider movie. And of course, like the drug reference and motorcycles, and it's a really cool movie. And also this one song when he trips out eating mushrooms that I really like. It's a song by Funkadelic, and it's called Maggot Brain. It is this really cool guitar solo, and this was back in the day when I really didn't know how to find stuff online, and so I always searched for like Hell Ride and like Acid Trip or Mushroom Trip, and I got this song. And then when I actually found it, like on Spotify years later, it's a band called Funkadelic from like 60s or 70s that make like funkadelic music, and it was this really cool guitar solo with Eddie Hayes. It kind of got me into guitar playing and all that stuff. Kind of cool. So yeah, I definitely recommend this movie. I don't think it's that easy to find, but if you can find this movie, Hell Ride, sure see it. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and take care.